G'day and welcome to the Detour. This is day two of our Tour de France coverage. Unfortunately, Dan is busy on kids' duty today, so I've brought in our regular right-hand man, Scotty McGrory, Olympic gold medalist and television commentator, race director, you name it. G'day, Scotty.
Jack of all trades, off the reserve bench, Johnny, and detour already with Dan on the second night, not being able to be on. But I'll be on each of the Saturday nights. So, looking forward to getting into the Tour de France. It's come around so quickly, hasn't it? Bam, we're into the Tour de France. It won't be long until the Olympics.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. And you're commentating for Channel 7 on the Olympics, and the guy you're commentating with is in the waiting room. So let's bring on the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett.
Hey, hi everybody. Under pressure, we're not far from the start of the men's race. I'm in the studio. Look, you can see the women's race behind me there. My little box for the next 3 weeks.
And look, apologies because I didn't realise the women's race was on so early, and we'll be going up live. We've decided to go at 6:30 Australian time every day, so we want to stick to that. But I've been watching the women's race, so we're going to keep this short and sweet today because we did a bit of a preview yesterday anyway. And of course, Phil, it's great to have you every day, and very much we're promoting. There it is there, www.caliga.co.za/peloton for those who aren't watching it and are just listening. A wonderful Caliga. What's the correct pronunciation of the reserve?
Well, it's obviously it's a Zulu word actually, so it's Kareka. Kareka. But yeah, thanks very much for your support, John, and everybody. Just go to the website because we're in a bit of a rush today. It'll tell you the whole history and the story behind what we're doing to help the African local people, and in particular, of course, the rhino from extinction. So please help if you can. I'm unashamedly asking you for money, and thank you for your support.
But as you mentioned, normally they would be, this is their busy time. There'd be lots of tourists going through, and that keeps the park alive. But because of this terrible worldwide pandemic, that's not the case. So they need help to get through this tough time.
Yeah, exactly. They've got no income. The animals are in trouble for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Phil, with Zulu language, do they have to click in their language? I know
yes, they do. It's a different click. It's very complicated. The African languages are very complicated. For example, around where I live up in the bush, what we know of the Team Quebecer, well, the way we should be saying Team Quebecer is Team Quebecer, and that's the correct way to pronounce the word if you're in South Africa. But they understand Quebecer.
Yeah, it's challenging. Hey, are you able to? This is a unique opportunity, I'd say, for everybody watching to actually be with you before you start commentary. And somewhat, it's not unique now, you did it last year, but you're in London while the other guys are over in the UK. Everyone sort of watches the podcast knows that. Are you able to just show us a little bit of what your setup is? Because I can see that, I know that my smart TV here is much bigger than your monitor, which makes it harder to watch.
Well, look, I come in through that door there, and I'm in the studio in Sky Television, just outside of Heathrow Airport. That's the monitor which gives me all my facts and figures as the race goes on. So all the boxer would get the winners of the King of the Mountains, things like that. That's a big monitor. Goodness knows why, because that's the small monitor. And I'm supposed to recognise the riders on that monitor when I'm back. My television's 64 centimetres, so I've got a... Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And this is all the control panels. I mean, it looks very simple. You just start forgetting after about 3 hours into the commentary when you're pressing wrong buttons. But so far, so good. I haven't started yet.
One of the things that I guess non-commentators don't quite get is, we've got this situation coming up with the Olympic Games, is especially with track cycling, when you're at the velodrome, and when I've sat beside you at Rio was good, but in London was incredible. Just the atmosphere inside the velodrome, that's infectious, isn't it? That's really contagious as a commentator, and it comes through in your voice. And when you have to do it in a room like you are now, especially on your own, and it will be like that for the Tokyo Olympic Games, off-site in countries nowhere near the games themselves, but you have to still have that professional attitude, don't you? And I guess that's part of the craft of being a commentator.
I guess it is, because I'm looking at a monitor like I would be even if I was at the Olympic Games. I'm still only looking at a monitor rather than the people, but the people are right by me, and you can feel the atmosphere. And you're quite right, Scotty. But I think it's up to our job as professional commentators to bring that atmosphere into our commentary, and that's what we'll do. And you're never going to repeat London. The magic of Paul McCarthy singing "Hey Jude," bringing a whole audience to its feet in the stadium in the middle of bike racing, and the bike riders stopped just to watch. That was special. But we're going to have to do our best. This is a strange period of time we're living in.
Yeah, exactly right. So, as I mentioned, we are going to make it. This is going to be the shortest show ever, because I'd really like to see the finish of La Course, the women's one day Tour de France next year. Evidently, we're going to be full bore back into a proper Tour de France for the ladies, which is quite deserving. So there's a good race going on there. So we'll get straight into it. So I thought we'd talk about today's stage. We'll start off with that because it is quite a brutal stage for the ladies. It's actually tougher than the guys. They climb that finishing hill 4 times. So even though it's shorter distance than the guys' race, it's actually, I reckon, it's tougher. And it'll be interesting to see how the Aussies go up against the might of Anna van der Breggen, who is looking really dangerous here. And, of course, Lizzie Deighan, who's the defending champion of La Course. So, but I think Grace Brown will give it a real nudge. I see they're now calling her the Machine. They're giving her a new nickname because she's just going so strong. But so Phil, while we've got you, what are your thoughts on the course for today's women's La Course?
Well, as you say, John, it's the last one because they're going to replace it with a women's Tour de France, which is great news for the women, of course. And you're right, this is a tough day. This stage is only 90 kilometres shorter than the men's stage, which is already at nearly 200 kilometres. And they go up the finishing climb, La Fosse aux Loups, which means the climb of the wolves in English, I believe. And it's a tough climb. It's only 3 kilometres, but it's hard. And after climbing it 3 times, the 4th time is for real. They go to the finish line on the summit.
Yeah,
I've loved watching women's racing this year. It's been very attacking, very aggressive bike racing. I don't think this will be any exception, but I think it'll be a wall of attrition once we get down to the bottom end of the course over the climb. I think we'll just see riders drop off. The strong will out. Van der Breggen would love to win this. She's having a brilliant season, and it's her last year. She's already announced her retirement, yet she's still riding at the very top of her ability, and she won the first one, of course. So maybe she'll try and win. She won in 2015, I think. She's going to try and win that. Yeah,
I'm watching them going. They're moving now in the background. I'm watching the screen, and I can see Gracie Brown's right up there, and Lizzie Deighan's right up there. I can't see the World Championships jersey, but I'm sure she's there. I just haven't spotted it there. But
Johnny, I can't see Anna getting beaten if she wants to win. If she's on form, especially with an uphill finish, she's just so strong. And because this is difficult, gives her much more of a chance to be the best, like in Flèche Wallonne. I think she's just so strong that if she's on form, the one that might have been able to push her, she's not as flashy, but Annemiek, and she's not on the start line, so it makes it a bit easier for Van der Breggen.
So then, just an hour and a half's time, the guides will be hitting the start line. So it's a very impressive list of favourites for this stage. Everyone says it's just too hard for the sprinters, and I just was reading a little piece from Caleb Ewan, who says, probably just a bit too hard. So that means he'll probably give it a go. But it really looks to be the classic specialist. Van der Poel, I think, is going to be very hard to beat. I'd put him as the favourite. But Wout van Aert, Julian Alaphilippe, Michael Matthews, big chance. But some of the GC riders, Pogačar and Roglic, we don't know how Roglic is going, but they would normally be right in the mix with this one as well. And I've got to throw in the local boy who lives right on the edge of this course, Frenchman David Gaudu.
Yeah, and he's a local boy as well, and he's full of inspiration, of course, racing in his home state of Finistère. And I think David will give it a real go. If anybody knows the route, it's him. Van der Poel has already said this morning that this is a one-day classic race, and that's what the course is like. And you're right, he's my favourite to win as well, but favourites get beaten, John. I think
they certainly do.
There's another man who will suit this course. I think it'd be a terrific race today, and the reward is winner takes all. He becomes the first leader of the Tour de France, and there's no way he can't be the leader if he wins. The only bonuses are at the finish line.
And look, we had to get Matty White a little earlier, and we've taped that and we'll play that soon. But he gives Bling, Michael Matthews, a big chance. And as we were talking last night about it, and as Dan Jones said, he rides on confidence. He's got this new bike. It's all blinged up. There it is. And look at how good does that look. And he'll be switched on. And you know what? It's a type of course that suits him in that it's not the type. It's not. The roads are fairly big today until right near the end, so there's not going to be the really dangerous sort of first stage that we normally get. And it's just so hard. I'll give him a really good chance.
You know what I reckon? I reckon if Michael Matthews is still there at the end, I think Sonny Colbrelli will also be there, and then I reckon Sonny's on better form and would beat him in the sprint to the top. And then Peter Sagan would be also in that kind of mix. I think it's a Matthew Van der Poel or Wout van Aert kind of day.
Fancy picking Sonny Colbrelli. He's had 4 goals already at the Tour de France, Scott. He's never won a stage.
He's hopeless, isn't he? Hopeless.
I absolutely agree with you. He would be a man today. Absolutely.
I've got a stat for you. Phil. With Matthew Van der Poel, if he does win today, or whichever, if he wins in the Tour, regardless. So his father had won 2 stages. His grandfather won 7 stages. And the last stage that Raymond Poulidor, his grandfather, won was in 1974. That edition of the Tour de France started in Brest. And the stage there's some relevance there. Now we can bring it back to Australia, as I always like to have some kind of Aussie connection to it. The stage that Poulidor won in 74 was to St. Mary-Sous-Lons, which is where in 1981, Phil Anderson finished 3rd on the stage to be the first ever non-European to take the yellow jersey.
There you go.
And tell me, Scotty, where did the Tour go when it left Brest in 1974?
To the naval.
No, it went to the boat. It went to the boat because it came over to Britain.
Did it?
The Tour de France transferred to Plymouth through the night on Brittany ferries, and we had a race on the up and down the Plimpton bypass, it was called, because they used it because it was built but not open, so we didn't have to close the roads. Perfect. And guess who the organizer was? Me. Anyway, what the heck?
Oh, good stuff. Even better connection. That's great.
And a good friend of ours, Donnie Allen, was in the field as well.
Yes, he was indeed. And it was a bit of a boring race, honest, up and down the bypass. It was a terrible course, but we were forced to use it. But before I have to rush away, John, have you heard about Lachlan Morton? You may remember Lachlan comes from Port Macquarie, rides for Ela. Have you heard what he's doing on the tour?
Yes, you can explain. I know it's he's riding around the world or something. But tell us, mate.
He's riding for World Bicycle Relief. He's sponsored. They've already got 1,000 bikes for underprivileged kids, mainly school children who haven't got any ways of getting to school in Africa. Lachlan will start the race 6 hours behind today's stage. He'll ride every inch of the way, including the transfers between. And he's going to finish in Paris 4 hours before the Tour de France in 3 weeks' time. That's his plan. It's all on. I spoke with him yesterday on the telephone for quite a while. This guy is amazing. He's got a fabulous bike, a proper stripped-down carbon fiber bike, but it's adapted. The middle of the triangle of the frame is a water pouch, so he's got all his water in there. He's got a huge saddle projection, which has got his tent, all his pots and pans. He's totally self-contained. He's not staying in a hotel.
Wonderful.
He's completely out the bubble. He's just riding every inch of the route. And he's starting 6 hours behind today. His average distance every day, including rest days, so he gets ahead of the race, will be 300 kilometers a day. And you can check him out, Lachlan Morton, on the web and find out who to send donations to. But fantastic achievement. Lachlan's no stranger, to long distance riding. He rode to Uluru once, right across Australia. He's ridden Land's End to John O'Groats in the UK on a mountain bike off-road, which that way was about 1,000 kilometers. He's a crazy boy. But I tell you, the Tour knows he's going. They've given official dispensation. He's riding 6 hours behind the Tour at the start, and he hopes to finish 6 hours ahead at the finish.
That's fantastic. Great stuff. Yeah.
If you get a chance, Phil, he does have. He and his brother did several series of bikepacking kind of adventures like this. Thereabouts, they're called. Thereabouts. I think Taylor Finning was involved with one of them in the US. Yeah, really interesting. Good guys.
No, fabulous. And he's still racing, of course, for the World Tour team, but he's taking time off to do this. Well, there we go.
So here's our first message from one of our fans. That's our super fan, Wendy. Hi, John, Scott, and Phil. Go Grace Brown. Yep. I agree. Alexander Woolley on your Sandy. Hey, Scotty, Iffy, and Phil. We were talking to him earlier. Damien Spike. Spike, Games HQ. Cavendish has got another stage in him. I think he has, mate. I think he has.
I hope so.
So we're setting up a competition. You brought this up yesterday, Phil, that we've got 10 Aussies in the race and 10 Brits in the race. So that means we've got to have a competition. So who's going to win the most stages? So I reckon we're going to beat you there. I do comfortably. I think we'll get about 8 or 9 stages. You'll probably only get a couple. But anyway, we'll see there.
We won't win many stages, but we'll probably win the tour. That's the difference.
Well, you could do. But we could win the tour too. We've got Richie, your teammate, up there. So
8 or 9 stages, John. 8 or 9. You're saying?
Yeah, Aussies, yeah. Well, I reckon
no pressure.
Caleb's going to win 4. I reckon Simon Yates will win 1 or maybe even 2 out in the stage.
He's not.
He's British, mate. He's British.
Oh, yeah. We can't count. Oh, ship.
No.
No.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, cut him out. Yeah. Bling's going to win 1. And, We'll get a couple of.
And this report may win a stage because that may play that role. He may win a stage, Richie.
Yep. It'd be great. Get his first time into yellow, which would be great.
Richie's not Australian. He comes from Tasmania.
Proudly so. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway,
Phil,
so
I don't think you do this, but have you thought about if Cavendish wins a stage? Have you already got some kind of line that you might throw in, or is it just for
when he won his first stage a long time ago, I gave him his nickname, which is the Manx Missile. The world uses it now, and I've got no credit for it, but it was me that did it because I know Mark pretty well. And I've called every one of his 30 stage victories. So I'd love to add 1 more. I don't think he's going to get many more than 1, and I think this will probably be his last tour. He's not going to get the record. He needs to get 35 wins to go ahead of Eddie Merckx. If he joins him on 34, Merckx's numbers of seconds and thirds are far better than Mark. So he's got to get too many wins to take the record off Eddie, but that's all right. Mark's had an absolutely fantastic career, and he is a missile. And I think he's finding that firing power again. So I'm looking forward to the spins. Stage 3, watch out for him.
Yeah. Well, Dan Jones has already picked him for stage 3 as well. So look, we know you've got to go. So we'll just finish with we'll get the little Karika logo up again to really put it through to people to jump onto Karika, KARIGA.co.za/Peloton and jump onto their website and please donate. We are going to set up something a little bit more intricate for people to be able to sponsor as well, but that might take a few more days to get going. But thanks heaps, Phil, and we look forward to talking to you tomorrow, and we'll be dissecting this wonderful stage that we're going to watch tonight.
We're going to see one of the best tours for years. I just feel it in my bones, which is great. You think I'd be bored by now after 49 tours, but I'm not. I'm really happy.
Good stuff. Thanks heaps, mate. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
See you, Phil.
Great, Scotty. So what we might do...
As enthusiastic, Johnny. He is still as enthusiastic as ever. It's great to see that enthusiasm.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, and he is a great. He is the voice of cycling. So it's great to get him every day. So what we might do, we've got some wonderful partners. We're going to throw to our partners now, and they bring the detour to you. And please support them.
We all love an open road, and often they're easier to find during quieter times of the year. In a Let's Go motorhome or camper van, you can road trip in comfort and style any time of the year. When the roads are quiet, you can get where you want quicker and easier without jostling for position. Chances are your destination won't be as busy too, which means you'll enjoy your travelling adventure even more. Plus, if you book a Let's Go motorhome or camper van in the off-season, you pay less, meaning you can travel longer. There's a type of motorhome or camper van for everyone, so you won't have to compromise on what you want. The whole range has the things you need to help create the perfect road trip experience, including heating and cooling, keeping you comfortable on the road all the time. Whether there's 2 or 6 of you, there's a motorhome for everyone. And in a Let's Go motorhome, your journey can be just as fun as the destination you want to reach. The open road is calling. Check out some of our great offers online today and start planning your next road trip. Rain, hail, or shine.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
There you go.
We were both checking out the TVs to see what's happening.
Exactly. They've got a bike race going there. So look, what we did speak to Matty White earlier. So we might. It's a 2-part thing. So we'll throw it to him now, and we'll catch up with Team Bike Exchange head sports director Matt White. So first of all, I need my weather report. What's it like? What's the weather like in windy Brittany?
Yeah, it's good this morning. We've had, the first couple of days we're here was perfect weather, and then yesterday it rained pretty much all day, and it's cleared out a little bit, but it does look like we're going to have a wet final today. So no wind at all, but it looks like it'll be a wet and tricky run into the final, to the finish line today.
So I've been studying it. I know the area a little bit. I mean, I've been to Brest a few times, and I love Brittany, mainly for the seafood. But it does look a bit tricky. So you've only got that climb once today. I see you got. But how tricky is it? When I spoke to you when you were doing the recce a couple of days ago, you said it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's more than 3,000 meters of climbing today, which is just under a sort of a mountain stage in the tour. So it's 3,000 meters of climbing without a climb of more than 1 kilometer. So the road is all day up and down. So the good thing about looking at the course today, a couple of days ago, in its entirety was they could have used some pretty small roads, but actually the roads are pretty good today. Like they're quite wide. A lot of brand new roads, good road surface, and the last hour from the Cat 4 climb to the finish is going to be pretty hectic, just because it is the Tour de France and it's the first day, and there's a yellow jersey on the line for the winner. But it's a relatively straightforward day until they get to that last hour, and then the run into the final climb's not too bad. And the final climb, I was expecting it to be a little bit harder. Actually, there's a stiff, hard piece on it. But there's still, I think, 1.4k from the finish, from the top, where you're on a false flat, and then it's only the last 200 or 300 meters that is flat. So it'll be one of those days that for the rouleurs there, the punchy guys who can sprint, and I think we've got a good chance today with Michael Matthews.
Yeah, you were saying when you got the top of you said it was a bling day. I wondered if it might have been. From what Alaphilippe had written in a story in Cycling News, that it was even almost on too hard for him sort of thing. And I thought maybe it was more of a Simon Yates, but you said no, definitely a bling day. So it is really the specialists, the classic specialists like Van Aert, Alaphilippe, Roglic, maybe Van der Poel. I think he's the favourite for it. So,
definitely.
Yeah, and bling, of course, would be lovely to get bling into yellow on the first day of Tour de France, mate.
Oh, it would be a dream start, John. If you could pop someone in yellow straight away, but it'll be a hectic day today. You've got the GC teams who just want to keep their men out of trouble, and then you've got guys like Colbrelli and Matthews and Alaphilippe and Van Aert and Van der Poel who will be fighting for the stage win. And the first day of the Tour de France is never a relaxing one. So there'll be plenty of action today, and then that multiplies the spice it up a bit as well with the bit of wet final. So there'll be plenty of action today, and it'd be nice to get the race underway. There's been a lot of waiting and a lot of I know the guys are pretty keen to get the ball rolling, and we've spent the last 3 or 4 days checking out these first 3 stages and get a good grasp of how tricky they are. And the weather up in northern France, actually, it's only going to be 15 degrees today here, but in south of France, it's sort of 30, 32. So there's a big difference between Brest. We are sitting on the Atlantic Sea here, and I look out my window now, I can see the sun and blue sky, but I know what's rolling in off the Atlantic this afternoon.
Now, I see you've got Matty Hayman in support DS role, along with Macca, Dave McPartland, and a South African named Andrew Smith, who I don't know much about. So can you fill us in on those 3 guys and what their actual roles will be?
Yeah, so with Andrew. So Andrew has worked with our development team when we had a development team doing a lot of the racing in Asia. And he works both with the men's and the women's team. So he coaches a couple of the athletes in the women's team, and then he does some work with our women's directors. And his primary role here will be logistics. And it's a pretty, as you know, John, we've got 30 people traveling circus with 10 vehicles and changing hotels pretty much every day. And so his primary role will be logistics with our operation for the month. And then rotating in between with me in car 1 and car 2 will primarily be will be Matty and Macca. So depending on the stage, we've broken those guys up. So Matty's presenting more the flat stages in the tour, and Macca's presenting more the mountain stages. And then as a team, we work through everything, obviously our tactics and our plans together. And then at the end of the day, I'm responsible for the well-being of the team and obviously the final call on how we race day to day.
So I just thought I'd run through the team, the 8 riders, and you can tell me what you can expect from them. Start with the way they were listed. So we've got Bling up there at number 1, Michael Matthews. You talked about his role, hopefully for today. But what's going to be his main role throughout the tour? Yeah,
I think we're going to go. We're going to go pretty hard for the points and stuff as well in this opening weekend and see how we come out of it. So
Esteban Chavez, he's been showing some good form this year. It seems like you're going to have the 2 of them, him and Lucas Hamilton, as the sort of GC riders as at the start of the tour.
No, Esteban's coming in purely for stages. We look with 60k of flat time trolling. It's not his kettle of fish. So he, if you see him losing time in this first week, there's a reason why. He's going on the hunt for stage wins from stage 8 onwards, mate. So general classification won't be with Esteban or Simon. It's all behind Lucas and then stage wins.
Yeah, sounds great. And so, as you mentioned, Lucas Hamilton, which is his first Tour de France, and great to have that opportunity to be go for GC.
Yeah, look, it is. It's been planned all year. Simon's big goal was the Giro for general classification. He's coming here to win stages and to prepare for the Olympic Games. So, we've been planning to bring Lucas here for a year now as our leader, and we've given him freedom in every World Tour stage race that he's ridden, and he's finished top 10 in every race he's ridden this year at World Tour level, which is a big achievement. And even in Tour of Switzerland 2 weeks ago, he was in 6th place when he had to leave with Gastro. So he's in a good place. He's off the radar, and people aren't expecting big things from him, but we are. And I think I think it'd be incredible if we could sneak him into the top 10 in 21 days' time. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a shock for him. It's going to be an experience. But I think he's definitely up for the challenge.
Yeah. So then we've got Janssen. I guess it's Amund Grondel Janssen. He's a good all-rounder. So I expect he'll be helping Bling a bit in some of those sort of tougher stages.
Yes, mate. So Armand, he's ridden the last 4 Tour de France's with Jumbo Visma. So he and Tony Martin pretty much spent about 75% of time on the front of last year's tour. So he's a beast. He is part of our engine room. So him, Chris Jules Jensen, and Luke Durbridge, they're our 3 big workhorses. And on stages like, especially today, when you've got to protect someone like a Michael Matthews, or you're protecting your GC leader, they're the 3 big engines who will get that work done. So these guys are doing a hell of a lot of work for their teammates and unsung heroes, but externally, but certainly internally, the work they do is very much appreciated.
And Luca, of course, Mezgets. He's a good finisher himself. But I suspect that he'll be the right-hand man for Bling.
That's right. And Luca actually caught COVID at the end of April, early May, and it was going to be really touch and go if he was going to be able to get back in time for the tour. And he's worked incredibly hard, especially this last 6 weeks, and he's in super shape. And he's going to be very, very important for the ambitions of Michael Matthews. And then also, as we saw last year, he ran second on 2 stages himself. Guys clipped off the front in the finals, and he was best of the rest. But that was his first Tour de France, so he can handle the pressure. He can handle the big stage, and he'll be a very valuable part of our team this month as well.
So there's part 1 of Whitey, and the second part's a shorter one. I think we'll just go straight into it because I think there's 18K to go in the women's race. So we'll get that, and then you and I will wrap it up, mate.
Sure, and 2 Aussies in the break as well with the women. So let's get into it.
And you mentioned Yates, Simon Yates, who I can see him winning a couple of stages here for sure. But as you also mentioned, his focus is very much on the Olympics. And I suppose that's a hard one for them to balance because it's only 6 days after finishing Paris for the road race in Tokyo. So a hard one to balance that to sort of be fresh enough for the Olympics.
Yeah, it is. That's given that everyone's going to be finishing here as well. But Michael, we're going to run a similar template with Simon to in 2019, where he came here very relaxed and just cherry picked stages, and it would be great to see him at least walk away with 1 stage in the tour. And I said, when you look at those options, we've got some very good options for stage wins, and we're pretty keen to get the ball rolling today.
Now, I know you got to go, so I'll let you go, but I just want to ask you one thing. Other than Michael Matthews, who naturally you will pick for today's stage, who's your next, who out of all those great rouliers, who's your form rider?
Oh, it's got to be Van der Poel. Van der Poel is in incredible shape. He's going to be a threat as long as he's here at the race, which is at least the first week. And I think the other informed rider is Colabrelli. Colabrelli won a couple of stages there in Dauphiné, and then he won quite a hilly national championships last weekend. So he is in probably the form of his life as well. So then you put in Alaphilippe in there and Van Aert, and we're going to have a battle royale today on day 1.
All right, bud. Great to talk to you, mate, and we'll catch you tomorrow. And hopefully Jerry doesn't jump in the middle of our phone calls. All good.
No worries, guys. Well, out of here, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, good luck, mate. Yes. In the middle of when we were taping, in the middle of that, Jerry rang to get an update, so I got the flick.
Hey, he's right about Battle Royale. Everybody fresh, Tour de France, ready to go, eager. Winner gets the yellow jersey, and we've got some incredible names up there in the mix with a hilltop finish. It's going to be sensational. And Van der Poel, who is one of the probably equal favourite to win the mountain bike gold medal at the Olympics as well. But first, he's going to do the Tour de France. So it's going to be an incredible story if he can get up for the win.
My story in the world famous Geelong Advertiser today was started with a battle royale, but I was a bit peeved because they had to cut it backwards. They often do, and they cut out a little part where I talked about the King of the Mountains jersey and the green jersey, but the green jersey was more prestigious. Well, they cut out the King of the Mountains and I just went on to say that the green jersey was more prestigious than the yellow jersey. I didn't say, but I have now said that in the paper, so I'll be copying a bit of flack from the locals tomorrow, I would say.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I have been noticing, and I've I've felt this way for a while. You don't want to discredit anything or anyone's achievements, and racing's what it is, and the system is the way it is. But you're right, the green jersey does have a lot more prestige than what the polka dot jersey does, and I think the way the riders have raced for the polka dot jersey in the last decade has kind of really devalued it. Like the guys that win it obviously are good bike riders. They're pros. They're world tour on the bigger stage, but it's not the best climbers in the race. Whereas the green jersey, might not be the fastest sprinter in the race, but they are really top-notch sprinters. Whoever it is that wins it, it's typically, if not they are the absolute fastest. It's someone like.
Although Pogacar did win the polka dot jersey last year, just to bugger that up for us. But anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah. There are a few more hilltop finishes. So
we've got some more fan comments. So T Kingo, Brittany is certainly getting a lot of news coverage at the moment. Oh, hang on. I don't know what that means, but anyway.
We shall see. Well, Sydney is, that's for sure, going into lockdown, which is a challenge. And I'm on my way south from northern New South Wales down to Victoria, so I'll be crossing the border tomorrow. I haven't been in a hotspot, so I'm hoping I'll be able to do it.
Samantha Inc. As a general comment, Chavez looks the fittest I've ever seen. Him, and he does look great. He's in great form too, so he'll be a big chance for a stage. So we can't count that as an Aussie either, because the Colombian Aussie. So I've
can't
got
do it
on there. So
isn't it interesting with Lucas Hamilton though, Johnny? Like what he's saying, they've been all year all in for him. Which is great. Like I love Lucas; he's a good guy, he's a mate of mine. But it's just interesting that they've backed him in, so early on in the season, which is fantastic. Obviously, indicates all the data is indicating that he's up for it. So hopefully he can go all the way through and get up on the podium or top 5.
So Dan Jones has just reminded me, even though he can't join us, he sends a little message here and there. We were a bit slow. Britney Spears, he was having in the news. The other Britney, of course. So
free Britney. Look,
it's 15, 16K to go, so we're going to get to the end. So I want your pick for today's stage, Scotty.
Matthew Van Der Poel. I think it's everybody's kind of common sense pick. But he and especially, we talk about Caleb maybe not being absolutely super quick on the first day of a tour, whereas Van Der Poel, with his cyclocross background, mountain bike background, he knows how to get up right from the get-go and be on the money. So I think he'll be able to light it up, which is Wout van Aert also in a similar situation. But it's a hard finish, mate. I think it's a Van Der Poel finish.
And Van Aert is coming from, was it appendicitis or whatever the operation he had a little while back. I know he's fully over it, but maybe his condition is still not quite there. But Julian Alaphilippe, I think, will be also right in the mix. And Bling as well. I think Bling does climb a fraction better than Sonny Gilbelli. And I reckon he could be there when Sonny's not. But let's wait and see. But I agree. I think Van Der Poel for the day to get that first family yellow jersey, because his grandfather, one of the greatest Tour de France riders of all time, but he never ever wore the yellow jersey. So let's hope that Matthew can change all that today.
Isn't that incredible though? 7 stage wins for his grandfather, 2 stage wins for his dad, and who knows, possibly a stage win today for the grandson. So that would be incredible. The La Course race is coming to a conclusion. We've got 2 Aussies that are in the lead group at the moment, which makes me think to shout out to Liz Heppel, who the Tour de France, when it was a proper women's Tour de France, we talk about coming next year, which is going to be great, but we did have one before that was run by the Tour de France organisation, and that was through the 80s. It was 1984. They had an 18-stage race, the first edition. Yep. It was scaled back after that for the following years, but in 88, Liz Heppel finished on the podium in third place. And some real trailblazers from Australian cycling. Donna Race-Lindsay, Kathleen Shannon, who became Kathleen Pisano, Robin Batterson, also Debbie de Jong, and Donna Gould, I think 89, she rode the race as well.
Yeah,
so, they were the real trailblazers from Australian women's cycling.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. All right. Well, look, thanks, Scotty. Thanks, fans. We had nice and short today. I would like to watch the last 10K of
Selfishly, we're going to wrap it up. Selfishly,
yeah.
we'll wrap it up so we can watch
So
the race.
don't forget, we want our viewership has evidently jumped up something like 30% over the last month, which is fantastic, probably because we haven't been on air. So jump onto youtube.com/the Deep Tour podcast. Tell your mates about it. And this Tour de France. And also, Scotty, we've got the best question each week. It goes into a selection for the $500 Let's Go motorhome voucher. So our mate Andrew in there is looking after them. And we're going to get Phil Liggett to be the judge of the best question each week. So that's 3 wonderful prizes that will go over the Tour de France. So thanks heaps. Thanks, Scotty. And we'll see you all tomorrow, 6:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And whatever time the rest of you guys around the world are, well, check your watch. Bye.
Go the Aussies. Go the Aussies.
This is the winning